90%, I guess, of our advertising was I'm talking about 10 years ago, was TV, 10% was print, and there was very little digital. Now it's the other way around. It's
right. Hello and welcome to the Walk Around podcast powered by JM&A Group. I am one of your co-hosts, Mark Spoto, joined by my co-host, Heather Wilkinson.
Glad to be here.
Hello, Heather. And we have a very exciting episode to kick off the new year. We've got Rita Case.
Rita Case, the largest female automobile dealer in the country.
Yes, 16 stores operating in Florida and Georgia. And we learned so much to start off this new year.
An unbelievable career, selling cars in her high school.
That's right.
Selling Hondas, $1,200 Honda to her high school friends. I mean, most people are selling candy and cookies.
Exactly.
Rita's selling cars.
And we learned also about the importance of customer service and the importance of operating with a kind of centralized approach as you grow in your business.
Yeah. And the final thing, real good piece was around the importance of career pathing. To reduce turnover in your dealership, have a career path for your associates in your dealerships so that they have a path where they know they're going to continue to grow in their career.
And not only that, Heather, she's got a very distinct personal brand. She's known for her hats.
Yes.
We find out we get to the bottom of the hats, how many she owns, where it started, and not only that, she took her hat off for us.
She took her hat off. We got the exclusive.
This is the exclusive.
This is the exclusive, not only on Rita Case's success in the automotive industry, but the secret behind
the secret behind the hats. You're not going to want to miss this. Let's take a walk around with Rita Case. Well, we are honored to have Rita Case with us on the Walk Around podcast, the CEO of Rita Case Automotive Group, one of the largest groups in the United States. Rita, thank you so much for joining us. It is a pleasure to have you on the Walk Around.
Well, thank you for having me.
We're excited. We wanted to get right into your history with automotive. You have been through so many ups and downs of this crazy business, but let's start with your entry into it. How did you get started? Was it something you and Rick always knew you wanted to do? What led you guys to this crazy business?
Well, first of all, I met my husband after I was already a car dealer. So my story is very simple. My dad was the first Honda motorcycle dealer in 1959. He was a car mechanic. He had his own little car shop doing foreign cars like Austin Healey, Porsche, MGs in Santa Rosa, California, just north of San Francisco. And he was a mom and pop shop. My dad fixed the cars. My mom answered the phone, and us four kids got in trouble at the garage. And in 1959, Honda came to the United States with their little nifty thrifty Honda 50 with the little side guards in the front, the little white side guard, if you remember. You meet the nicest people on a Honda. So they came around into Santa Rosa, and they were asking who would like to take these little scooters. My dad says, sure, why not? You got to remember, 1959 was only 12 years after the war. Okay,
right.
So something that you were selling that was Japanese wasn't always necessarily a
there was some skepticism, I'm sure.
Yeah, and it wasn't a real positive. Who wants to help Japanese business? So anyway, my dad took on the Honda motorcycle, and as you know the story, what with the motorcycles, back about 1965, the baby boomers were back from the war. They were buying motorcycles. Honda came out with more motorcycles, and pretty soon they had a full lineup of street bikes. And in 1968, Honda decided they would consider introducing the Honda car to the United States. And they went to their Honda motorcycle dealers in California, asked them who would like to take on this Honda car that was a air-cooled 600cc tin can. We called it the Pregnant roller skate. And they actually had a...
What was that again?
What was the roller skate?
Pregnant roller skate.
Pregnant roller skate.
Okay.
Yeah. So we they had a Honda motorcycle in 1968 that was a 750 cc's. So this car was less cc's than the engine on a motorcycle, just to give you kind of, and it was smaller than the Volkswagen Bug that had already hit the market. So my dad goes, oh, I'll do that. And my dad asked for dealer number one. He said, hey, since you're signing dealers up, I want to be dealer number one. So my father has the dealer number one. 6501 was how the series started, was 6500, so 6501. So my dad had the franchise. The car didn't make it to the United States, into California, into the Richmond port. I was there when the first boat landed. It was called the Pacific Wing, was the name of the boat. And that was in Richmond, California. And that wasn't until 1970. So it took 2 years before the car actually made it to the shores of the United States. It was called the N600 was the model. And so my dad got the first delivery with, there were 30 other motorcycle dealers in California that agreed to take the brand, some in LA, some in, 30 San Francisco. So the car arrived, and I have a picture of it in the middle of my parents' Honda motorcycles. There was this little car, and I was like the first person to sell a Honda car in the United States, because what happened was nobody wanted to buy them, even though they were only $1,295. They were so small. They were just, people didn't think they were safe. So I drove it to high school because I had a driver's license. I drove it to high school and I sold it to my friends in school. So I pretty much was the first person to be a volume Honda car salesperson.
That's pretty cool. I mean, most people sell candy to their high school classmates. You're selling cars.
You're selling cars.
Yeah. So I had worked in the dealership. All four kids worked in the dealership throughout our grade school. As young as, we came to the store after work. It was a small store. So I polished motorcycles. I put away parts, whatever my ability was as I grew up, I did at that dealership. So I was already working in that dealership
no job was beneath you. It sounds like, Rita.
No, I mean, we just did whatever we could to help the family business. It was just my mom and dad and us four kids and one person in the parts, and it was a very slow operation.
As you started to do more, did you have any doubts of doing something else? Did you want to stay in automotive?
Actually, when people ask me that, I tell them that when I look back at it, I just was having so much fun. I'm a people person. I've been one my entire life. I love to be with people. I have to be around people. And I'm happy, I'm energetic, I'm positive. So the car business and the motorcycle business was just so much fun. And so I said, I want to do this. Why wouldn't I? It's all I knew. I knew.
And it seems like that hasn't changed. You still think this is fun.
I mean, you've got decades of success, Rita, with Rick by your side. You all are at the forefront in the marketing industry for automotive. Sales leadership. You're the largest female-owned automobile dealer in the country. After all of these years of success and continued success, what motivates you? What keeps you going?
Well, I have, the fun of the business, number one. Some people you'll hear may say, oh my gosh, we're back to the grind now that it's not MSRP. Now that it's not short supply, high demand, I'm hearing the reminiscing of the 5 years ago when people would say, oh, God, it's such a grind.
Right.
Yes. And I tell them all, I said, you're looking at it completely wrong. I said, you need to look at it as a game. You're playing a game. Mm-hmm. Each customer is like a chess opponent, and just try to win the game, but have fun doing it like you would do it if you were playing gin rummy or you were playing tiles. It's a game. And have fun. And you can't win every sale, you can't win every game, but you can have fun doing it. So that's what I've instilled in everyone, that just don't be so serious. Customers buy from people they like. Customers don't buy from people they don't like. And people that are having fun in the experience pay more and buy faster. So that is it for me. It's for me. Even the customer complaints, everyone gets my cell phone. Everyone gets my email address. Everyone that comes in the dealership, not just people that buy, but it's there in the dealership. My card is everywhere. It's in every one of our books. We wrote a book. I've got it here. Our customers are friends. That's our philosophy. And everyone, the books are there in the showroom. You pick them up for free. They're in the service. They're in the sales. And inside is my personal business card and has my information. So, I get customer issues and I just take each one of them as a game. And I just try to convince that customer now, did we really do something wrong? Is there really a problem here? Or, wow, this is a problem and I've got to fix it for you. And let me see how fast I can fix it and get your business back or get your attitude about the Rita Case Automotive Group.
One of the things
I think most is from a customer complaint, which I don't get that many, but the ones I do is they always start out, I thought that all your customers were your best friends. And I go, they are. Well, you didn't treat me like that. Okay, let's see why not.
Rita, it's such great perspective because we talk so much and we've talked on the walk around about the impact technology has on automotive and sales process and your store, and really when you boil it down, it really comes to what you're saying. Treat your customers as if they are your friends and they will continue to come back and buy from you.
That's right. And with that philosophy around the friends and building those relationships, Rita, what's been your approach within the dealership or amongst your operators running the day-to-day operation around how they're handling data, how they communicate with their customers, artificial intelligence? Have you advanced any of your processes around AI or utilizing big data utilizing data in order to retain or attract new customers?
Well, absolutely. We're keeping up with it all. I have a terrific department. They've been there since the internet concept and the BDC concept of, using the computer for at least 20 years. My director of the marketing, but now it's more director of e-commerce, really, has been with us. And she's wonderful. She's built a great department. Now that's on the advertising side, on the customer communication side for sales. We have, of course, like all car dealers, we have shifted from print. We've even shifted a lot from TV. I mean, we were on TV, network cable, all of it. Literally 90%, I guess, of our advertising was I'm talking about 10 years ago, was TV, 10% was print, and there was very little digital. Now it's the other way around. It's right. 80% is digital, all using the automation that's available. We've engaged with AI through our education and you can get bombarded with how many vendors have now become geniuses on AI, which
that's right.
It's true. Just weed through it. We have installed AI in our BDC for service only so far. So our service, we have a centralized BDC for all of our dealerships for service. Servicing the cars is what I mean. And our BDCs for our sales departments are central for Atlanta, and they're central for the Honda store. And then we have a couple pods with some of the smaller stores that are centralized. And those are not on AI yet, but there is technology that's coming out. We're evaluating it all. What we don't want to do is just start throwing processes in, and then our people have to be trained and retrained, and that just wears them out. So that's what we did with our service departments, and we ended up employing an AI. We tried, I think, several demos or whatever, but we're using one for that so far, which is letting the customers know if their car is ready, that kind of thing.
Rita, I'm curious.
It's moving very fast, and we're trying to keep up with it, but you can't go faster than your associates can keep up. Otherwise, it's no fun.
Right. Rita, I'm curious, as you and your team grew over the years, and the size of your group became larger with more stores, how did you decide the way you made decisions about what needed to be centralized versus what needed to be handled at the store level? Because I assume it's not an easy thing to create a consistent experience as you grow and make sure your customers are receiving that attention and that friendly atmosphere, regardless of which Rick Case store they visit. So how did you look at making decisions about store level versus centralized opportunities?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the technology that became available and how much could now be done through the computers opposed to hands-on with a customer, or like our HR department is now completely central because we don't need hands-on HR for paying the payroll and that. We still do have HR communication, but to be more specific, we started, I would say, 10 years ago with the accounting departments and really fine-tuned that with centralized location because the technology was there to do it. Each of our stores only have cashiers now. That's going to be going away too. I see that in the very near future where we'll be able to do all electronic cashiering, but we're still not quite there yet. We do still have cashiers. All of our accounting is centralized, which was just done through, moving the processes, kept all the same people. We just moved them together, and that's been economies of scale that's worked out great. And we used to have, complete accounting departments in each store. Everything was done in each individual store. We've centralized all of our controllers. We've centralized all of that. When it comes to the BDC, we actually had a centralized call center 30 years ago, back in the 90s. We started off with phone lines that all came in from the dealerships to one location in Florida, and we would answer all of the phones. So we experimented with centralization for much longer than just the computer situation and the internet and the texting that's now available. The things that our customers really have to be involved with, they're still at the store. We still sell cars in the showroom, and that's one-on-one service advising. But anything that we could centralize, like a BDC, call center, accounting, we have already accomplished successfully.
Has that centralization that you've implemented on the accounting side and that BDC side, has it provided you efficiency gains around headcount, cost of doing business? I assume that it has to have impacted there. And then also in a reduction in maybe errors, mistakes, those types of issues in contracting or any of your business?
Answer is yes, 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 and yes. Everything you just said is absolutely true. It's also created a lower turnover. Not that we had a lot of turnover, but there's a camaraderie. When you have 35 men and women in one central location, birthdays are all a big, hoop-de-doo, and the holidays, instead of just having 3 girls in 14 different dealerships doing. So it's created cross-training. So when the biller's out, it's not like stopped, like it could be in a small dealership where that you only maybe have 2 billers and now the deals are backing up. Things never back up because there's 20 different people operating the billing, the titling, the payoffs, the dealer trades, all working as a team. And you have, 10 women or men and women doing accounts payable and accounts receivable. So the bills get paid on time. When there's vacation, nothing slows down.
I would think those economies of scales help you as you look at acquiring more stores and growing.
Well, I think that, we are not acquiring dealerships. We've never bought a dealership. We've always got everything as an open point. And after Rick passed away 4 years ago, my goal has been, without Rick, my partner, obviously, of over 40 years, is to make our stores right now, the ones that we have, to be number one. So that was my goal, and that was his goal, and I wanted to maintain his legacy, the name Rita Case. I wanted it to stay at the top of the charts, and that has been my goal. So I am not looking to purchase dealerships. Never really did that. They've always been open points in areas that needed a dealership, mainly in the West Broward, Fort Lauderdale area, and in the Gwinnett County, Atlanta area where there was no dealerships. We applied for those. And so the 39 years I've been in Georgia, opening the first Hyundai store and the Audi store that I got there and stuff, that has been my focus. And so economies of scale absolutely are a byproduct of centralization. And that can come with cross-training too, and career pathing. One of my emotional drivers to be a very successful for myself is low turnover. I don't want people to leave our company. There is no reason that they should. We sell a product. Every one of our franchises are celebrated as a great product. Every one of our locations are growing markets and show growth markets. So there isn't a reason for someone to leave unless we do something, which is compensation that isn't keeping up with the responsibilities to the competition. They don't like the business. We aren't fairly treating them within the facility. We don't have a good reputation. We don't treat our customers as our friends. Those are the reasons people leave. So, and one other reason people leave is because they don't see the career path. And over 15 years ago, we recognized that. We would get a resignation and I'd be like, why is John leaving? John, why are you leaving? Because that's always been a requirement that anybody that resigns, they have to, in front of me, immediately call me. I want to.
Sounds like culture is
I wouldn't want to do that.
I wouldn't either. What I'm hearing
is that service manager had better get me on the phone when Johnny's in front of him saying, I'm leaving. I'm a technician, but I've decided I'm leaving. Get him on the speaker.
And you want to know why? What did you do?
Exactly.
I love that.
And yours, it hasn't happened in the last 15 years, but years back, it was, I didn't want to say anything, but I really want to be a service advisor. My back hurts lifting up the tires, whatever. You get the point. So we about 10, 12 years ago, we installed a career pathing process. And that's being done by our HR department, because it's really hard for the service manager, parts manager, or even sales manager to say to one of their team members, hey, do you want to do something else, like go from sales to the shop, or because they want to keep them there. And so we do this through our HR department. They meet with every single associate at 5 years, and they do an analysis that, are you happy? Because by 5 years, they know every job in the dealership. They know that they understand the dealership. That doesn't mean we don't do our 6-month reviews and we don't communicate with our associates, and we're not constantly communicating, because we are. But to have a sit down, is this what you want to do for the rest of your life? You've been here 5 years, and then he'll say, well, I don't know. I think I wanted this or that. Then we start to career path them. And they have to do it on their own. I mean, if the salesman says, I want to be an F&I manager, then we say, okay, great. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a great career path for a salesperson. I'll tell you what, I'm going to assign you to Jane, who's a very good F&I manager. You let us know when your time off is, and we will have you mentor in her office when she's doing deliveries.
That's great.
It's no different than a university. You have to do it on your own time.
So Rita, you mentioned career path and legacy. Curious, you're fortunate to have your children involved in the business. And if you were to think back and give someone advice on how to prepare the next generation to get involved in the stores, in the business? What would be your advice?
Well, if they have one store and their kids are coming up, I would say to have them go work for someone else that you know in the market.
So out of your group entirely?
No, not group. That's if you have one store.
One store, okay.
What we did, our children didn't work for anyone else. Actually, Raquel, when she was going to Northwood in West Palm Beach, worked for Brayman. Her very first job was a cashier at Brayman because it was right up there in West Palm Beach, and she could do it part-time. But our children never worked for me or Rick.
So why do you think that's important?
They also weren't raised in the business like I was. Like I was raised in the business because my parents, we had one small store, and I went to work after school as soon as I was old enough to do anything, sweep floors, polish the motorcycles. But our children were different. So it depends on the scenario. Our children, our children are 43 and 40. And so when they became the age I was, like 10 years old or 12 years old, we already had multiple dealerships. We were in Ohio, Atlanta, Florida. We had a corporate structure. We had general managers. It wasn't like the mom pop shop I was raised in. And
so
we
wasn't selling cars at high school then, huh?
Yeah. And we have a policy. We have a policy in our company, and I don't know if everyone agrees with it. That's okay because it's worked for me. Is you cannot be a relative working in the same store. So we don't want husband and wife, general manager, controller, or whatever. And we've had people get married and they have gone to different stores. They've separated.
Rita, why do you think it's important? You mentioned, if you're thinking about getting your second generation involved, why do you think it's important that they go work for someone else?
Well, they can work for you if you have one store. If you have one dealership and they are coming into your store to work under you in a one dealership environment, then I think that's not a problem. I think that's fine. I still would prefer that they learn from another dealer, but that can work. It just depends on the size of the market and the size of the store and everything about it. It worked for me. So why would I want to say that it wouldn't work for you? But if you have multiple dealerships, then I think the best course of action is for them to be working for one of your other dealerships than working directly for you. If you know what I'm trying to say. So if you're running a store and you have 3 stores and you're running the largest store as a dealer, and you have 2 other stores and you've got managers in those, put the kids over there so that they learn. It's very hard to be a dealer's daughter. I know that personally. I was a DD, labeled a DD all the way up until I married my husband, Rick, and then I was the wife. And so you're the dealer's daughter, then you're the dealer's wife. You're just having to scratch so much harder to get the respect, recognition, and for your contribution. So when you're the son or the daughter of the dealer, it is very difficult to get accepted, respected, appreciated, and it's also very hard for them to learn because it's like, oh God, the dealer's daughter said this. Everybody do it.
Right.
Well, I think the wrong thing to do, but it's the dealer's daughter. So
your legacy was
go learn something else.
Your legacy was you rolled up your sleeves and did every job and worked your way through the dealership. But as we think about succession planning and we also think about the new generation of buyers, one question I had for you, Rita, was what are some lessons our audience can learn from you to help prepare themselves for this new generation of buyers that are coming into dealerships today?
Well, everybody needs a car at every age. And there's a lot of people driving that I would have never guessed 25 years ago. There's 90-year-olds out there. So the gamut of the age from the baby boomers all the way to the Gen Zs has to be dealt with in the showroom. So my answer to that is it really seems to my experience has been, it's really seems to have been covered well by having a large age group of your salespeople and a large age group of your service advisors. So when you see that, you're corresponding online at a rapid pace and text messaging and all of the stuff that can be done with the Gen Zs and the millennials, they attract themselves to those salespeople. And it's great. We have all those tools. If you come in and you don't even have an email address because you're 85 years old, but you're still qualified to buy a car, which I'm sure I will be, you're not interested in all that technology. Don't text me, just sell me a car.
Yeah.
Give me the paperwork.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's transferring to a more of a should I say, technology-based sales process, all the way from service as well as sales, your two biggest departments for dealing with people, customers, and your associates are going in that same direction. Mm-hmm. So your associates are the ones that are demanding the technology to deal with that generation. That's where we get a lot of our ideas. These young salespeople that come in, these young service advisors, the technicians are like, why am I walking over there? That part should be like, there should be a drone dropping off the part here to my station. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. We probably could use drones for certain things, So they help us develop.
Yeah.
And automotive news too.
Yeah.
I mean, read automotive news every week. If you read that thing cover to cover, you will never get behind.
Okay. What I'm hearing you say is meet the customer where they are.
Yeah. And right away, you don't have to guess.
Yeah.
3 words out of their mouth, okay, I need this direction with technology, or I need this direction with technology.
That's right. Rita, we've enjoyed so much hearing your perspectives, and we want to transition to kind of our final segment here on the walk around. We like to call it best bets.
So I don't know, Rita, obviously you don't know this about Mark, but Mark likes to gamble. He's a betting man.
I may dabble. I may dabble here.
We want to take some risks here today, if that's okay with you, if you'd be willing to play with that.
I should have brought a $2 bill. I could have given. I was going to tips.
So we're going to throw a couple of things at you, Rita, and you're going to tell us if you would place your money on this bet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm ready. I'm excited. I love games.
Okay, good.
All right, good.
Good. So do we.
Yes, we do.
Or
we
me.
like to play.
At least I do.
I enjoy a good game as well.
All right, Rita. So if you were given the opportunity to place a bet that in 2025, okay, we're in a new year, 2025 is going to be a more profitable year for dealers than 2024. Are you placing a bet on that?
No.
Really? Tell us more.
Yes, let's hear your perspective.
Why do I think 2025 will be more profitable? You mean net profit?
Well,
Net profit.
Let's talk net profit.
What are you talking about? What profit are you talking about?
That's a great qualifying question, Rita. Let's go with
net profit.
2025 will be a more net profitable year than 2024. Are you taking that bet?
No.
No,
I don't think 2025 will be more profitable than 2024. I don't think it will be less profitable either. I think it'll be equal. I think it will be very, very close.
We're going to maintain net profitability.
I think we'll be maintaining our net profit. There's going to be some reasons why I believe we're going to sell some more cars, but not a lot. We're not going to sell many more. We have, even though I think this administration, though I don't want to get political, I think that the direction that we've seen this administration in the past go favors businesses. It favors business growth. And so I'm positive about that in general, not necessarily the car business, but I'm just saying in the economy. But I feel like we haven't really seen the impact on the buyer. Now, remember, I'm Honda, Hyundai, Kia, Volkswagen. I'm the mainstay car products So the mainstay customer, your middle class, your growing middle class. And I believe we have not seen yet the impact of this inflation. And in my area, Florida, the impact of the insurance issue here and the impact of affordability. These things I think are squeezing the disposable income, and I think the cars are lasting longer, and people don't need to trade out of them. Even though 30 years ago, the average car on the road was 8 years, and now it's 13.6. So, but about 30 years ago, a car didn't last for 20 years, and they do it.
Yeah.
So it's all relative, but.
All right, so we're going to stay the course.
No, I don't think I'm going to be. There's nothing that says to me that a car dealer should be more profitable next year than it was this year.
Okay.
Well, I guess that would take, our estimate on the SAR possibly hitting 17 million in 2025. I guess you would take the under on us maintaining around that 16.5 million SAR in 2025.
Yeah, though I'm not a forecaster, I'm not Automotive News or JD Powers, I would say that we're going to barely hit 16.1 in 24, and I think I don't think we'll hit 16.5 next year. No.
Okay. All right, Rita.
It's going to be 16.1, 16.2, and I think you're going to see more of the what I want to say, affordable models like the Hondas, the Hyundais. Those are going to that 16. I think you're going to see more of that brand, those brands, or that price range, than you are the higher priced cars. I believe we have not seen the impact yet of the economies. I don't want to say recession, that's a bad word, but people are being squeezed, and nothing shows me that that's going to change. Yeah. Even though this administration are going to make some changes in regulations, which are going to, I'm hoping, what I'm forecasting as a dealer is that they'll deregulate some of these mandates on the EVs, which will give the manufacturers a little bit of foot off the gas for the investments they're having to make on the research and development, which they've taken that investment and they put it in their ICE vehicle pricing, because that's what they're selling. All the ICE vehicles that we sell have gone up. The sale price have gone up. The gross hasn't gone up, but they've increased the cost of the cars to cover this research and development and all the mandates they're chasing. If they will reduce those mandates, give them more time, let them spread out this expense to build these the EV infrastructure and the required mandates, they may actually lower the price of some of these cars, which could increase affordability and volume next year.
Right.
That would be good for us, and we could sell more cars. That's what my hope is, because all the manufacturers, Honda, Toyota, all of them know that their price of their cars is too much. And the subsidies to get back to a decent lease payment and all that is all on their drawing board, because I do believe that people aren't going to be able to afford, only the people that have to have a car.
So Rita, on the next two bets, we're going to take a little bit of a left turn.
I think we're going to head to some hobbies that Rita has,
some
right?
hobbies,
yes.
Some personal bets that we're hoping you'll share with us. Yes. So you mentioned in the early days, your dad got into the business through motorcycles, and you became a bit of a motorcycle enthusiast yourself. Am I correct in that, Rita?
Well, my dad let us ride dirt bikes. He wouldn't let us on the street. So we all raced motocross when we were kids. Because
so we have a stat here. We have a stat that you and Rick set a world record for the longest motorcycle ride. In 1984, you covered 33,000 miles in 45 days. Is that true?
No.
No, it's not true. Our internet research has failed us completely.
That I would have a really sore butt. No, I did not ever do that. Rick and I only took. We always rode our motorcycles every year on many short trips, but until internet came out, we wouldn't leave the phone. There weren't cell phones in '84. We didn't leave the shop. We were running crazy.
So you're a motorcycle enthusiast. So here's the bet, right? You're talking to someone and they're going to go out cruising, right? Maybe not 33,000 miles,
right,
but they're going to go out cruising. And they have the option to buy a Yamaha, a Honda, or a Harley. I'm willing to bet you're going to say take the Honda. Would you put your bet on the Honda for motorcycle cruising, or where would you go?
I would definitely put my bet on a Honda.
Of course. Of course.
And so will every passenger.
Because they'll thank you later.
The only person that likes to ride a Harley is the driver. So no, Rick and I have had Gold Wings for, oh my gosh, since the day they came out, and so I still have Gold Wings in the garage, in the ones with the airbags. They're amazing. But no, Rick and I every year we both had. I never rode on the back with him except for the time he had a flat tire,
and that was it.
He had to stop, and we had to pair up. We always rode our own motorcycles. We always rode at least 4,000 miles a year. But that was over a period of different trips. And Gold Wings are as smooth as ever. And, I have to say this, though. I've never been on a Harley, but I used to go on the Kyle Petty ride across America. And they would stop. We could go 370 miles before we were on dead empty. Mm-hmm. And they had to stop every 75 miles.
So you left them in the dust.
Their hands would be numb from the vibration. And they were like dying where they could barely get their leg over the seat. And I'm like, Rick, we haven't even gotten off a full on our tank. Why are they stopping?
All right. Well, no surprise. Rita's
there.
Betting on the Honda. All right.
Absolutely. So Rita, I know that.
You want to take the last one?
Yeah, I'll take the last
one.
Go
for it.
I know that, we talked about you and your history with motorcycle, which were dirt bikes. And we've been corrected on our thoughts around your longest world record.
The internet is wrong. Imagine that.
I know. And I know you're a pilot and you fly your own planes. But last question.
Honda jet.
Yes.
For the first Honda jet in the United States.
I know.
I was the first certified private pilot, not the FAA people. But
unbelievable. Yeah. Our last thing that we had for you. So Mark and I were going back and forth, and we had a bet on an over-under of the number of hats that you own in your collection. So Rita, I'm guessing that it's maybe 1,000 hats.
1,000 hats.
Yeah.
Are you going over? I am going to take the under.
You're going to take the under
on the 1,000 hats.
Okay.
Rita, help us out.
1,000 hats. What's wrong with you, lady? No, it's definitely under 1,000 hats.
It's definitely under 1,000.
Substantially under 1,000 hats.
Yeah, substantially under 1,000.
Rita, your hat has become so synonymous with that your personal brand. Just give us a quick origin story. How did you settle on that as your look?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the honest truth. So when Rick asked me to marry him, which was in 1979, and I finally made it as a car dealer. I told him in 1976 when I graduated from college, I told my dad, you and Mom have to leave. I'm never going to get anywhere in this dealership because they all work for you, and they're never, even though I've been there all those years, I said, either you leave this dealership and let me run it myself, or I'm going to go work for Kirk Veal across the street. So Kirk Veal had Veal Volkswagen. Mm-hmm. So I said, I'm either going to go work for Kurt Veal, who was a good friend of the family, or you're going to leave and let me do it. And so they decided to leave. They retired, quote, but I talk to them every day, but they retired, and they weren't even 50. I said, just get out of the store. Let me do it. And my dad says, well, I'm going to give you 2 lessons, Rita. He says, your first loss is your best loss, and my checks better always cash. So off I went. I was no longer the dealer daughter. So now I meet Rick. I go to the NADA. I start the first Honda 20 group. He joins, I join. That's where we met in the first Honda 20 group. And then we, decided to get on with our relationship. And he asked me to marry him in 79. And I'm like, oh my God, I finally made it. I'm running this Honda dealership in Santa Rosa, motorcycle and Honda car dealership. I'm doing great. I built a new service department. I bought property across the street to build an exclusive Honda dealership. I am on my way. I'm going to prove a woman can be a great car dealer. And now I'm going to go to Ohio? Where the hell is Ohio? Anyway, I said yes. And so I didn't even go there. I mean, I never lived there or anything. We just, I got married in February 1980. I went there, for the wedding and moved. And now I'm the dealer's wife. And I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. I was the only woman in his entire organization except for the cashiers and the accounting people. And, he's like, oh, I married a car girl. She's so fantastic. Everybody, you're going to love her. And they're all just looking at me like, the bachelor that we were working for all these years is now married to a car dealer. What is going on? So anyway, I decided, I've got a whole story about how I ended up becoming a very respected part of his company by starting where they didn't want to be. So
is that when you introduced the hats? When you became...
So what happened was, I said, I got to have my own identity. Rita Case is already this entity in Cleveland and Akron. He already had a Honda car store in Cleveland, a Honda car store in Akron. Rita Case is on the radio all the time. I don't want to start in the back seat. I wasn't going to start over again in the back seat. So I decided, so I was freezing because it was snowing there, and I didn't live in any place snowing ever. So I'm at the mall going, I got to get a coat. I got to get gloves. I got to get boots, all these things I didn't own. And I saw this section of hats. And I thought, that's what I need. I need a hat. Because my crazy, So I went over there, like I bought some felt hats, kind of like the one I've got on today. And I started wearing hats. And people, oh my God, we love your hat. You really stand out. That's so different. And I thought, that's it. I'm going to create my own brand by being different with the way that I look. And so that's how it started. And what happened was, after a couple of years, I mean, if I didn't wear a hat, people go, oh my God, are those extensions? People, is she bald under there?
Yeah, people start making up all their own stories.
So Rita,
so here's the question. Wait. Do you still have the first hat?
I absolutely do. And it was on the cover of the Lifestyle Mag. They had it on Lifestyle Magazine. I had a story last year. I absolutely do.
So Rita, you've been wearing hats for 44 years. If I go
every single day.
That's amazing. And you sure you don't have over 1,000?
And that's where I'm like,
no, that's because I wear the same ones all the time. You just didn't notice.
Very economical, Heather. Very reasonable.
Very reasonable.
As a business owner.
I don't know if I've ever seen you in a different hat, but they look phenomenal on you. And clearly your marketing.
You haven't seen me in the same
Rita,
hat.
Please tell us.
I have.
Absolutely.
Please tell us, this is the first time on a podcast you have taken the hat off. We have an exclusive with Rita Case.
Taking her hat off.
There we go.
There we go.
I love it.
Look it. I love it. Oh, I love it.
My hair is not extensions. I've never had short hair.
It's beautiful.
Rita,
wow, Rita.
We can't. What a way to start the year off, right? With the bang.
2025. Rita Case, our guest, and we've got the secret to the hat and no hat. Thank you, Rita.
Rita, thank you so much for joining us on the
It's
walk.
been a blast. I've had a great time. I try to make.
See, I told you, maybe we're going to make this the best experience for you on a podcast yet.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We really appreciate you joining us today on the walk around, and we hope you enjoyed the episode. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow us. We look forward to seeing you next time on the walk around.